Thank you for all the move the banner. I appreciate that. I had a couple guests who might be late. Hi, David. How are you? David? Very nice. Eric, is he your guest? Oh, are you anybody's guest? You found out who was here?
Like on the internet. I don't know if I can still keep.
All right, 7 a.m. It is 7 a.m. We will get started. Okay. These are going to be underneath. Okay. All right. The recording has started. It is 7 a.m. and we get started on time here at Toastmasters. Welcome to our April open house, everybody. I see some guests on Zoom and I see some guests in the house. I am Kate. I am the president of AM Lockport. What's so special this week in addition to our open house, folks? What is so special this week for AM Lockport? What? No answer. All these talkers in this club and it was our 40th anniversary on Monday as a club. April Fools, not an April Fools, not a joke. So many faces in this room have been along for the journey or joined along the path. And so thank you, Sergeant at Arms Mike, for being our guide at the front door. We might have a couple more guests roll in. I know some folks told me they could make it today. We'll see what happens. Reminder, we do have an open house every first Thursday. So we have an open house every first Thursday until the summertime, and we'll take it from there. I'd like to see, let's go on Zoom for our guests on Zoom, guest or guests, I'm not sure, but I see a David. We have a lot of Davids. I think we have like 3 David members and 2 David guests. You have to be named David. David Hockenberry. Are you able to unmute and tell us how you found us or who invited you?
Hi, good morning, everybody. Yeah, I found you guys on Facebook, and I've just been wanting to improve my speaking skills, so I figured I'd come and learn about your group.
We're here for you. Thank you, David. We're excited to have you here with us this morning. Thanks for finding us on Facebook. Our PR Vice President, Eric, does a fabulous job. Shout out to Eric for his Facebook and everything else that he does all of the time. And you are welcome to join us all the time, every Thursday. We have a David in the room. Are you comfortable? You want me to just introduce you since you introduced yourself? Oh, good. You have to come up because the folks on Zoom can't hear you unless you talk in the microphone, but we won't push you to that if you don't want to, but you look like you're comfortable with that.
First practice, right? Yeah. Yep. So I'm David Blumerick. I work with ESC, and they actually recommended this to me. So based on my performance appraisal, I was just talking about things that I wanted to improve, like public speaking. And my manager took note of that. Thought, you know what, I would like to be a part of that as well. So she's over at the Clarence chapter. She'll be doing their open house, and so I'm joining this today and seeing what everything is all about. So,
wow. Thank you, David. And I'll give a shout out to our program quality director, guest/member. Would you like to come up to the lectern today? I'd love you to do that. Would you like to hold the microphone?
Good morning, everybody. 40 years. How amazing is that? You know why? Because this is really a fun club. It's a great place to be. It's a great place to improve. And I am so glad I am here today. Yes.
Thank you, madam. And I may have just mentioned, she maybe just mentioned she's in Clarence too. I was introducing another guest. So if you have questions also about Clarence, there's a lot of overlap with the clubs in the area. And I'm proud to say I'm also the Area 11 director. So a lot of clubs in the Buffalo and one Rochester club are in my area. If you have questions about that or want to be the Area 11 director next year, I can't be. The rule is you can't be more than 2 years in a row. And I was Area 13 last year and Area 11 this year. So someone else else from this club would do an amazing job as our Area 11 Director. I know a lot of you've served in that role before. You'll do it again. Okay, what do we have next? Another guest, a guest of mine came. Tom, would you like to stand up and even come up to the microphone? Are you comfortable with that? He'll learn. So Tom says he doesn't need to. Tom Olson is in the room. He's been a guest here with AM Lockport many years back, and we were coworkers for a long time. So we'll get you on the microphone at the end of the meeting if you can stick around. Anybody on Zoom cannot hear you unless you talk in the microphone, although they may have. You project very nicely. Could you hear his theater voice background? Oh, yeah.
No.
Okay, any more guests? Do we have Daniel back, Margot? Is Dan able to come today? I can't see
He was
everybody
trying
on
to,
Zoom.
yeah, he was trying to log on. I don't know if he was able to. I think he
Okay,
got
we
called
may or may
another
not see Daniel as a guest again. Perfect. And Jeremy may or may not be able to come, but lots of exciting things coming. Not today. Okay. All right. So I think I will go with, we usually do the inspiration and then the pledge. So any announcements we need to talk about? I think we'll just, Mom is the treasurer and we have a lot going on. So I think, what are you going to do next? Just talk about the party. The party, okay. Okay, because it's our anniversary this week, some of you don't know that are new in the room, we have an anniversary party this Saturday. That's at the Erie Canal Cruises. We have about 3 seats left for that. It's going to be a big fun time. So Mom is going over, Mom is Beth. She is my mother. And she's our treasurer. Like I said, I'm the president this year. She is going to go through some of the lineups. Dues also, I think we're done with dues, so we don't have to worry about that. Okay.
Okay, someone just handed me $43 for the party. Who did that?
No, Jack.
But you already paid. Okay, okay. Okay, I'm not going crazy. Well, I am going crazy, but we do have quite a few people already paid. I don't think, I think everyone in this room has paid. Marty, you owe me. Okay. But you did pay for dues online, so we're all set there. The only one who hasn't paid for dues is Mike Reinbold. So the dues are all set for this time, except for anyone new. We would love to have you. But Gerald's paid, Eric, Carol Ann, Margot, Jackie, Steve, Mary, who isn't here today, Tracy, Nancy, Mike Florio, Joe Budnak, Kate, Len, Elaine, Larry. And I think that's good. That's all my announcements. So on to inspiration.
On to the inspiration. Oh, something inspiring just walked in the door, and it's some refreshments. I want everyone to know they are okay to get up during the meeting. All of you on Zoom are going to be jealous of the goodies we have in the room today. We have goodies, and the coffee will be ready when the orange light goes on. I came extra early to make that, so it better go on soon. And again, you can get up and get down if you're comfortable. If you're please be comfortable to get up and get down. I didn't get enough sleep last night. As good speakers, we need to take care of our bodies. You need to sleep right, you need to eat right, etc. So let us get to the inspiration, and Jackie Kenny, godmother of our club, will give our inspiration today. And then roll right into the pledge. Are you okay?
Okay. Good morning, everyone. Good to be here. This is a special place for all of us to be. I first started coming here 20 years ago in February, and I seldom miss a meeting. It's an important part of my life, and I hope it's an important part of all of your lives as well. So let's be thankful for what we have, the friendships, the knowledge, the mentoring of each other, and bring it all home. Everybody. AM Lockport is worth getting up for. And now we'll have the Pledge of Allegiance. To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Madam President.
Thank you so much. Do we have any announcements from the Zoom world out there? I want to make sure I'm not missing anyone. I usually like to also announce who's here in the room and who is on Zoom so that everyone in the space can know who's here. So in the room, we have Eric and Marty and Avis and Carol and Nancy Ferry, Jill, Steve, Phil, David Channon, Mike Florio, our guests, Paula and David and Thomas. We have Beth and Jackie and Len and Larry. And I'm Kate, and we have our Toastmaster Mike and Dave and Gerald. No quizzes later, I promise. On Zoom, I do see Margot and Mark Campos. And is there anyone else I am missing on Zoom today? And our guest, David. Perfect. Oh, we have a small Zoom crew today. We're outnumbering the Zoom crew. Sometimes it's vice versa. Okay, I am excited to hand over our lectern to our Toastmaster of the day, Mike Licata. Mike.
Good morning. Thank you, Madam President. Good morning, everyone. You know, when I thought of a theme this week, it boils down to a couple topics that is on my mind. Thank you, Len. You good? Okay. Thank you, Len. So I've decided that the more I think about what everything costs and the price of inflation, the things people are willing to pay for and not pay for, when it comes to our free time and entertainment, streaming services are becoming more and more money. And it reminded me of a conversation I had with my parents, maybe not less than 90 days ago, where my dad liked to wonderfully reminisce about when cable services started in the late 70s and early 80s, and how this wonderful new cable system meant that there were going to be no more commercials because everyone was going because everyone was already paying for the service. So with that, I will introduce our roll holders because we're already 15 minutes in, and our word master this morning is Carol Ann Halstead. Also in AM Lockport as well, she will double as our OM master and grammarian. Carol Ann.
Okay. First of all, my word for the day is network. I thought of that word when I saw that they were going to be talking about cable television, and I just remember growing up with our network television. And there are several definitions for network. A system of interconnected people, a highway network, a cable network, but the one and computer network. But the one I'm thinking of most is, if you think back to our wonderful network TV. And also, I am going to be the ah master, which means I'm be listening for ahs, pregnant pauses, connecting words that don't fit. And also, I will be the grammarian and will watch for very good grammar, very poor grammar.
Eric is working on the tape. We will make sure we will put it in front so everyone can actually see that really well. And with that, our next person is our gesture this morning. It will be Marty Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. Most welcome guests. A couple weeks ago, you may remember that we had snow in Lockport. Well, my lovely youngest sister, Elaine, called to tell me that she was in Hawaii enjoying the beautiful weather. That made me feel pretty good, warm. And then I had a wonderful opportunity on Dingus Day to go to the Medina fancy country club restaurant. Some of you may know where that is. It's a wonderful place. And with my middle sister, Diane, and we had a wonderful time. And deja vu, as it may be, Mike, and with your theme, we were talking about the same thing. And my sister said, you know, I was watching a movie the other day, and all of a sudden I got all these commercials and coming on, and I don't want all these commercials. How do I want to get rid of all that. And lo and behold, Mike has that as part of his theme, if you were reading it on the website. And my sister said, what am I going to do? I said, Elaine, I said, just go back to Hawaii. Mr. Toastmaster, that includes my story about my network with my family over the past week. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you, Marty. And I will introduce our quizmaster this morning for our guests. We like to keep our club on our toes by having a quizmaster, something we introduced a couple of years ago. So I will let Mike Floro explain his role this morning.
Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and our guests, welcome. I've been here for now, at least 15 years, and I love it. I learn a lot. So I hope, you enjoy the show and you network a little bit with a few people. Before I describe my job, I just wanted to talk a little bit about cable, right? Because before cable, I was part of the network. Okay. What my job was in the 70s was, you remember the rotor on the TV? Well, my father would say, hey, I need channel 2. And we'd have these little dots on there, and it'd click like this. You could hear it, and it would light up. And that's when you had a TV set. You can't call it a TV set anymore. You just can't. I mean, that just gives your age away. But anyway, now I've reverted back, right? Because cable is so expensive now, right? I mean, it's incredible. You know. So now I have an antenna up on my roof, and I've had it for 3 years, and I get everything for free in high def. So that's my tip of the day. You want to cut the cable. What you need to do is put an antenna on the top of your roof, and you'll get free, and then you can stream the others. Anyway, I digress. My job today, as Mike was saying, is the quizmaster. I listen intently, and then I give you a little test at the end as to what was said by some of our members. Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you again for Mike for volunteering for the role as well. And after Mike, Jill is stepped up to be our quizmaster this morning, so I will turn it over to Jill. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mike. Now, this is my last shameless plug. $2 a pair.
When did it become $20 a pair?
Monday morning. What? No. All we have left is sitting on the table back there. So it goes to the Buffalo Astronomical Association for our outreach activities. I found a bunch of quotes that I liked that have nothing to do with network or anything like that. So, first one, if you need a little nudge to keep going, consider the Stonecutter's credo. When nothing seems to help, I go and look at a stonecutter hammering away at his rock, perhaps 100 times without as much as a crack showing in it. Yet at the 101st blow, it will split in two. And I know it was not that blow that did it, but all that had gone before. It was Jacob Riis said that. On the same idea, it is spectacular to watch an erupting volcano, but it's even more spectacular to watch the rise of a newly exploding revolutionary idea. As from Mehmet Murat Idan. I hope I said that right. He's not here to correct me. I think I got the Mehmet right because that Mehmet Oz doctor. Okay, the next two are from the Dalai Lama. If you think you are too small to make a difference, try sleeping with a mosquito. Got everybody with that one. And when we talk, we are only repeating what we already know. But if we listen, we may learn something new. And my last one, which is from a guy named Alan Dundes. Light travels faster than sound. This is why some people appear bright until you hear them speak.
Thank you, Jill. And to explain to our guests as well, everything we do in Toastmasters, the speeches and the evaluations, everything is timed. And we are always, once you join, you learn that we are tremendous sticklers when it comes to time, when it comes to presenting awards and everything like that. So in saying that this morning, our timer will be Nancy Farron.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. Fellow Toastmasters and guests, welcome. As timer this morning, it's very important that we learn these boundaries in our lives. Something I learned here was a boundary of time. It's much easier to just ramble on. When I have a set time, it works so much better. And I will be listening and checking for your time when it's time to stop speaking, because your table topics are 1.5 minutes to 2 minutes. So you will see the green at 1 minute, yellow at 1.5, red at 2. And you will have a 15-second buffer for your table topics. Speeches are normally 5 to 7 minutes. And again, you will see the green, yellow, and red. And the evaluators are 2 to 3 minutes. Is that correct? Yes. Okay. So I'm looking forward to having people on time or right in the middle. That would be really cool. Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Madam Timer. And I will my last person to introduce before we start the extenuating speech is that everything in Toastmasters is evaluated. That's another thing for our guests this morning. Even I'm evaluated, and I will introduce the general evaluator. His job is to evaluate the overall tone of the meeting and the evaluators as well. Our Phil Russell this morning is our general evaluator. Thank you.
Wow. One of my major projects has been to start this open house and have people here, 20 here. Unbelievable. Great job. I was going to come in and I'm going, whoa. I was going to say, we have to market, we have to advertise. You done did it. I don't know how you did it, but you done did it. And that is a great thing. And this open house, well, that's one of the reasons people join organizations like Toastmasters is for networking, to grow their business. And that's right. And that's why we encourage people. I was talking with somebody yesterday. The reason why all these organizations aren't is they're so busy in their lives. But these organizations help you to organize yourself and to use your time wisely. And that's a great thing about Toastmasters. And I'm going to say, I was going to say, well, we need to network. And I'm going, that's the reason to join Toastmasters, besides an educational leadership and communication outfit. Holy mackerel. You guys have done a great job. Now, my job, we evaluate everything. I'm going to evaluate the meeting. And my primary job is to evaluate the evaluators. Now, my first part of evaluation, great job, Kate. You started on time. Now we have to get rid of people like long-winded people like me so we can end on time. Right, Mr. Toastmaster?
Thank you, Phil. And I now bring up our table topics master this morning is Steve Smith. For our guest table topics is extemporaneously speaking, At our club, we do 1.5 to 2 minutes on any topic, either the questions T presents, or if you have anything else on your mind that you would like to get off your chest, extemporaneous, feel free. It's not as scary as you think, even though the first time's always the scariest. And I'll present our table topics master, Steve Smith.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Don't tell people this is scary. This is good training. We never know when we're going to get called on to speak. You might be in my case, in village and town meetings, they say, hey, we need you to say something. You might, any organization you belong to, you might have to, at the spur of the moment, say something. This is great training for that. Consider this an opportunity. And I have a little story I want to relate here before I launch into this. As she mentioned in our last shameless plug, this is another shameless plug for our Eclipse Monday. A friend of mine called me last night, actually texted me, and he said his parents heard a rumor that I had canceled the Eclipse. And my immediate response was, I don't have that kind of authority. And I said, where did you hear this? Well, he wouldn't tell me. He said, somebody told him. And I'm thinking, somebody's starting a rumor we canceled the Eclipse. I said, now I've heard everything. And he says, and then he texts back to me, welcome to Wilson. Can I go back here now? Or? Okay. Thank you. Now, getting right off of that and the subject of the day, cable television. And a lot of us have been around and around with this, and now it's getting worse with the streaming services he's talking about. A couple of programs I watched have now been given their own network on one of these streaming services. I am, as most of these things, very confused, but let's go back and simplify it. Eric, do you even watch TV? Some people don't even care about this. Do you watch TV? And if so, what?
Thank you, Steve. Fellow Toastmasters guests, good morning. Do I watch TV? Yes, I do. I do watch TV all the time. Yes, I watch it all the time. From the moment I wake up to the moment I sleep on my couch and go to bed. Yes, or in bed watching the Late Show with Stephen Colbert. Anyway, but no, I've watched between cable television and streaming services. Now, if you want to balance that two networks, I prefer streaming services because limited commercials. You don't have, yes, you have to pay. Don't get me wrong. You have to pay for streaming services, but I rather do that because there's some shows that I enjoy watching that I have not watched in, 10, 15 years. Like, let's say Family Guy, or I watch, what was it? What, or one of those History Channel shows like Pawn Stars, because I think Pawn Stars is one of some very good history besides the rhetoric of the family going at each other's throats. But I prefer streaming services. But cable, if there's something good on cable television, like the Laugh Network, or there's an whoever's writing that, mark that down. But other shows on television, I enjoy. So, thank you.
Thank you. Stop that. Now, I actually made a list here to see who has a job so I don't inadvertently call on the wrong person. So, Beth, you don't have a job today. Can you tell me? I didn't know that was an option. Can you tell me, are you using any of these new streaming services? Do you watch cable, or are you still like some of those old ones that remember broadcast cable?
I can't say that I know how to use all of the networks, but my daughter Vicky has helped with anything that's beyond the normal networks. And we do have DirecTV at our house with a satellite out in the yard that has fallen over last year, but it works. My husband pays for that because that's what he wants. Okay, fine. I don't care. That's fine. As long as you want to pay for it. So we'll go with that. We'll go with that. But I do watch some of the network shows. I'm a huge NCIS fan. Any NCIS I will watch. So I definitely do that. But there are some streaming shows that I've liked. Now the one of the newest is murders in the building, or no murders, which only murders in the building, which now is on a network, I believe. Hulu. So it was on Hulu, but I think it's moved. I don't know, but that was very cute too. Interesting. So I had fun watching that kind of thing. That's my TV and football. I'm not a big basketball fan. I am definitely not a golf fan, in my opinion. No, like, don't do that. So, yeah, that's my TV. I don't watch much.
Thank you. Now, football is another interesting thing. They seem to be all aiming toward being on streaming services, meaning it's going to be more difficult just to watch the game every week. Now, I don't normally look at guests because I figure they don't want to be put on the spot. But Tom, I've never known you to be at a loss for words. Would you like to come up here and tell us your thoughts on cable television? Yep.
I am a political junkie. So I watch all spectrums of political and make my own comparisons for what they all lie about. And it is a situation that there are times when I have to limit myself because it can be, the way the world is, very depressing. And right now, I don't need depressing. So when it comes to cable, they charge outrageous amounts of money for Spectrum. I have a Roku and I have a Fire Stick, but then again, you have the game of getting the Roku and the Fire Stick to work, which is a true joy. But that is about all I have to say about cable TV. Excuse me? Oh. Happening to like the word network. The network brought me here today because Kate and I had lunch yesterday, and she was very insistent that I come here today. And I said that I would do that. And I said, what time? And she said 7. And I said, I'm retired. But that would be the end of my discussion. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I'd like to add my own 2 cents about listening to politicians. They will drive, oh no, this is simple. That I noticed, we all count ahs and ums here. I have noticed that a politician's ahs and ums go up directly proportional to how much they are lying to us. So now if I can get a wordmaster report.
I am pleased to say that everyone, some with a little bit of encouragement, used the word network.
Now if I can get a timer's report.
Everybody leaves their agenda up here when they come up. He's got a stack of them. So if you're missing one. Our table topics, Eric, Beth, and Tom, this very rarely happens, but Eric, you were 119, Beth, you were 116, and Tom, you were 116. Right? barely. No, no, 115. They all were right in the middle, like I suggested.
Okay. Don't confuse me. Good. So you can vote for Eric, Beth, or Tom Olson, and I'll turn the meeting back over to our Toastmaster. All right.
Thank you, Steve. Good morning once again. So at this point, whether you're in the room, Jackie is gracious enough to come around and collect everyone's ballots that you pick up at the beginning of the meeting. If you're online, you saw the poll pop up, and Len and Larry, our intrepid tech geniuses, will be collecting the polls. And this is at the time where I kind of use filler. That kind of, that's a wonderful error. So, what the cable learned very quickly, thanks to people like John Malone and Ted Turner, that they could use the dual revenue system to start selling commercial airspace along with selling their cable packages so you could get the viewer twice. They stole the idea from network. Everything comes from network. But the big push that came from a lot of what cable systems grew out of the early 80s was younger kids needed their MTV, then parents needed their CNN, and they needed that 24-hour news cycle, and it launched, again, what Steve talked, 1,000 talking heads and 1,000 different opinions, and a lot of it didn't matter. So I see that every ballots are collected, and I will also thank our speakers this morning, all three of them, David for stepping up, and Margot and Larry for providing an intro. So our first speaker this morning is Margot Sue Bittner. She employs a lot of us here in the club and is gracious enough to pay our dues. And her speaker intro goes, surprise, surprise. That distinguished Toastmaster Margot has been asked to present to the Lions District 20N at the upcoming officer training. Because she's been successful with publicizing the Barker Lions, they asked her to share tips and hints. This is the introduction to the presentation. And her evaluator this morning is Dr. Gerald Stevens.
Good morning, fellow Toastmasters. Before I start talking about Margot, I wanted to talk about our topic. I actually cut the cable a week ago, so this is very timely. I only had basic cable, and I discovered I had $78 a month I was paying. Times that by 12. That's a lot. Then I calculated how much I'm streaming. Including that, it was $238 a month. I have all these streaming services. This is out of control. I need to network and get some more friends to share with. So now about Margot's speech. She is speaking from the Strategic Relationships program, writing a speech with pros. The time, Madam Timer, is 5 to 7 minutes. Purpose of her speech is to learn and review, to write a speech with a defined purpose on any topic. So it's pretty broad. I've heard Margot do some poetic speeches on the spot. So her mind is amazing. I don't know how she pulls all that off. Most of us would have to memorize it like crazy, and she literally will write it down and like that. So I look forward to this speech, and I'm honored to evaluate Margot. Mr. Toastmaster. Got the title?
Margot Sue Bittner, spreading the word. Margot Sue Bittner, spreading the word.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. How many people in the room think writing a newspaper article is difficult? Okay. How many of you think that sitting down with your friend over a cup of coffee and telling them about the fabulous Lions meeting last night is difficult? There's actually no difference between the two. Now, I have been doing newspaper articles, I figured out, for about 40 years. The various organizations I have been involved with have asked me to help publicize the group. And so what I have done over the years is pretend I'm sitting down with my friend and telling them about the meeting. Now in Lions, as you know, we want to share how we serve, how we help our communities. And if you think print media is dead, let me give you this personal statistic. Of the last 5 members that I have sponsored, 4 of them have found our club through my newspaper articles. And for the Lions in the room, I have sponsored, as of last night, 14 members. So that's pretty good statistics. So let me tell you how I do it. Number 1, I think that there are 2 parts to every article. Number 1, you have the article itself. But even more important, you have a picture to go with the article. When you write the article, you put in all the information. When you send a picture, you include the names. And the thing about doing that now is that you can email it in. So what a newspaper will do is pick it up from your email, read it, and then plunk it right in the newspaper. Now, when you do that, you have to, though, understand that it's a newspaper. They have different space requirements or space needs on a daily basis. So sometimes the entire article and the picture gets in. Sometimes the picture with a huge caption gets in. Sometimes they contact you and they ask for more than one picture. I've had everything in there. The other thing to remember about writing for a newspaper is they want news, not history. If the meeting was last night, my article will be in at the latest tomorrow morning. I'm not going to wait a week because it's way off there. There's a radar screen. The other hint is to write a complete article. People say, well, if I send them a title and a bunch of bullet points, isn't that good enough? I have a little in on the newspaper and they've told me they don't have the reporters they used to have to actually write the article. If you can get it written, you can get it out. So the other hint on that, however, is to do not be married to your words. They are going to change them. They're going to change the order of your paragraph. It's okay. If you give them a hard time, they're probably not going to print you again. Now, as you know, I not only write for the Lions, but I also write my agriculture column. And there have been a couple of times they've made some changes, which as a farmer, I've gone, no, but you know what? It's only 2 or 3 words out of the article. I don't sweat it. When you write the article, I said they want to take it out of your email and plunk it in the newspaper. Find the name of the person to send it to. Every newspaper has its masthead. Every newspaper has an online guide. Who's in charge of the community page? Who's in charge of, sometimes they have somebody in charge of just the press releases. Find out that person and email it to that person. Another hint, pick the correct newspaper. Don't send it to the Buffalo News. The Buffalo News is a union shop. Union writers, union photographers. They are not going to print anything of yours. The Lockport Union Sun and Journal, the Hometown Extra, the Amherst Bee, those are the places that you want to think about. But in addition to those places, get a little creative. Does your village have a newspaper? How about a newsletter from your town? They are starved for information. And if you're sending it to that locality, your projects, your news will get disseminated to the people locally who really want to use your services, whatever they might be. The other thing I like to do with my articles is I share them on social media. Now, why is that important? Because I'm giving the newspaper some more play, as seen in last night's Lockport paper. Did you check out the Somerset Town newsletter? Everything is there. And the last hint I have for you on how to get into the newspaper, advertise. A newspaper is a business. Like it or not, they're a business. And as much as we want to give them and have them publicize us, they can't afford it. They have expenses as well. So while I do write articles, I make sure that we advertise anything that's a fundraiser, anything that we could publicize, such as our loan closet, something to give them a little bit back. Now, I know you want to get to the writing. but this has been a long Lions workshop. You guys have been sitting for a long time because I'm not the first session. Why don't we take a 5-minute stretch break? And then I'll teach you exactly how to write an article. And today you will go home with a written article to submit to your newspaper. Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Margot. Our second speaker this morning will be evaluated by David Licata. I will let him introduce himself first, and then I can do Larry's intro. David Licata is evaluating Larry. God, what a handsome young man. Just a little bit, a brief history about my adventures in network and cable. I actually sold cable advertising for Amherst Cable Television so long ago. It was fascinating because they just served the town of Amherst. And we never got into it. But had I stayed longer, they had enough high schools. You could have done a high school basketball game every night of the week, et cetera, and so on. But that was my adventure in cable. And I remember explaining to friends how this was going to work and how inexpensive it was going to be and no commercials. All righty. First of all, I want to warn you. The next speaker is very thorough. I have taken courses with him at Niagara County Community College, SUNY Niagara. And he paid a lot more attention to things than I did. He would actually go online to see how he was doing, check the marks. Me, not so much. But that's why it's a joy to listen to Larry. So he's doing lessons learned. And the purpose of this project for the member to learn about and apply the schools needed to run a lessons learned meeting. And believe me, no one has learned more from the lessons of life than my friend Larry. And now back to you, Mr. Toastmaster. Thank you, David. Larry's intro is public speaking isn't for those without a proper roadmap. His speech title is Research, Write, Review, Rewrite equals Presentation. And Madam Timer, it is 5 to 7 minutes. So Larry McKenzie with Research, Write, Review, Rewrite equals Presentation. Larry McKenzie. Yep.
Before we begin with the time, thank you. I thought I'd write a short title for my speech today, so thank you, Michael. Network. On Network, one of my best friends growing up through high school, he was also the quarterback for our team. His name was Vince Lorendi. Vince's father owned Niagara Frontier Cable way back when, yes. The nice thing about that is that Vince, when we all became of age, hired all of his friends. So one of my first jobs. What's that? His father? His dad? Yes. Yes, that's off topic, Dave. Okay. Madam Timer. I had the unique opportunity back in the early 90s, mid 90s, to work with the United Way of Niagara. I was an entertainer, I still am, and I DJ'd. Back then, they would have the United Way Day of Caring, where it was a rally. Everybody would come out early in the morning and you'd hype them all up and they'd go out and do projects throughout the city. They still do so over the years. Well, back during the 90s, I was the go-to guy in Niagara Falls area. We used to have our rallies at the old Edent Lackey Plaza, which is where the convention center, which is now the Seneca Niagara Casino, is located. We'd meet there early in the morning. We'd get them all hyped up. They'd go out and they'd do their jobs. They'd come back. We'd get them all hyped up again and have lunch. That was the best part of the day for me because I had the in-between part where I was still getting things together. I think it was 1993, 94. They changed leadership. The lady who became the new leader was a good friend of mine. I also was the DJ for her wedding. We did the United Way Day of Caring. Then all of a sudden they're having the victory rally at the convention center. Larry, would you MC our victory rally at the convention center? Love to. Well, they say public speaking is one of the worst fears, more so than death. I really didn't experience that for quite a while until the day at the convention center. The reason is why David mentioned earlier that I was kind of a stickler for things. I still am, because my job as the MC was to make sure that I had the program set up directly, the way that it was supposed to run, make sure I had all the speakers, the introductions, similar to a Toastmaster, the way that they're supposed to have their agenda all together, know who's there, make sure they pronounce the people's names correctly. I was a stickler for that. Well, I met with the committee and they said, oh, we're putting together the program for you. Okay. We met again. We're still working on the program. Now the day of the event is there. I have no program. I have no speech. I have no introductions. Tables are starting to fill in 100, 200, 300, close to 700 people in the Niagara Falls Convention Center, all seated. I'm backstage in my tuxedo, ready to be the man up on the stage to MC the event, introduce everybody, and rally on to victory, our goal that we had surpassed. We're backstage still, no agenda. I don't know who's coming on stage other than myself. I can tap dance, but not for 3 hours. So I kept asking, where's my agenda? What am I supposed to say? Who's coming on stage? I was prepared, but not them. We're working on it. We'll be done in a moment. But they were off stage working with some of the young adults that were going to be on stage holding up the numbers for the total. That didn't help me much because I had to introduce people. 5 minutes, we're about to start. Carol, do you have I'll be done in a minute. All of a sudden, she walks up to me. She goes, you got to get up on stage. We got to begin. Here are your notes. Handwritten in her writing that she was hurrying to write prior to me going on stage. Now, the stage there is a little bit different than here. Here we have some of the ambient lighting. I was on a stage 4 feet off the ground, big spotlights on me. I couldn't see the audience, thank God. They could see me, but they couldn't see. I had a black tuxedo on, but they couldn't see the fact that underneath that, I had just probably taken a shower, but it wasn't from an actual shower. I was sweating to death because of the fact that I wasn't prepared, but not of my own fruition. It was because who knew that? Me and the people backstage. 650, 700 people out in the audience didn't know that I didn't have any information. What did I do? I tap danced. Impromptu speaking. Before I knew about impromptu speaking, I was up there and then all of a sudden I'm reading these notes. I couldn't read her writing. And you don't ever want to look when you're emceeing an event as such, like you're reading off of a piece of paper, which was actually a college line notebook paper. And her writing that I couldn't understand and the introductions that I couldn't understand. To make a long story short, or a longer story longer, that was my lesson learned. That was 1993. From 1993 on, I became even more of a stickler with my entertainment business or any of the events that I was doing, especially weddings. When you're introducing people, you want to make sure that you pronounce their names correctly. There's a lot of introductions that I did where there weren't very many vowels in the name, but I got their name correctly. I did a lot of ethnic events. You want to make sure you pronounce all of those things correctly. Why am I telling you all this? Well, over the years, Dave Licata kept asking me, Larry, come to a Toastmasters event. Okay. 20 years that took me to come to a Toastmasters meeting. Finally, I came. All those things that I had learned over those period of, say, 20 years, up to me coming to Toastmasters, which my anniversary was also April 1st, same as the club. I learned that Public speaking, yes, is very scary. But why is it scary? If you look around the room, you're here at a Toastmasters meeting. You're scared because one reason, I would say, you're not prepared. Like me, the day of that event, I wasn't prepared. So I was extremely nervous. It came through in my voice. Everybody in the audience knew it. Needless to say, I wasn't asked to MC the event again. The tough part about that is that all those people in the audience were all business leaders, politicians, different people that own different businesses, potential, per se, customers that may have looked at me to MC one of their events, but not after that day. So what I did learn was, first of all, read, research, write, review, and then be prepared to present. That's what Toastmasters has helped me do, Mr. Toastmaster.
I'd say Jay, just leave it. It's kind of there. It's been there. Plenty of things lying around. Our next speaker is our newest member of the club, David, and David's evaluator this morning. Thank you for stepping up. Is Kate.
Happy to. Dave, like Mike just said, is our newest member. Very excited to have David Shannon, who brings a wealth of experience already to our club. He is giving his icebreaker today. Icebreaker, that means his first speech in Toastmasters. We have pathways, which you choose a path, has yet to choose a path, but they all start with the icebreaker. So that's where we are today. The official time of those are 4 to 6, but as we all know, the icebreakers can go any length. And he informed me we're going 5 to 7 and we're going up there. And so we will appreciate those colors. And our title, I have the title. You have it? Perfect. I will hand this back then to Mike. Thank you very much.
Thank you again, Madam President. David Shannon, life is all about fun. David Shannon, life is all about fun.
Good morning. I got a job in 1991 in the Hudson Valley area as a teacher. I have been traveling all over. I was a school for the deaf for 12 years. I went out to Long Island. And then finally, I was 15 minutes from my house. I was thrilled. It was a regular hearing school. I knew the language and I was so excited. But I never stopped there. It wasn't enough for me to be a teacher in the classroom. I was going to do more. So I applied for the job of the bowling coach. I was a bowler since I was 5 years old. I knew my stuff. I was a captain of SUNY Oswego's bowling team. But it took me 2 years to get the job for the opening. So finally, I get the opening. I advertise in the high school. We're getting a bowling meeting together. I'm looking at the door, waiting for the people to stream in. 3, 4 people, 3 boys and a girl. High school bowling, for a legitimate team, you need 5 of one sex. I didn't have any. I said, where are the rest? And the girl says to me, we're it. We've been it for 3 years. I said, this is the bowling team? Yes, we are. Okay. So the 5 of us climbed on a little minibus and the basketball team laughed at us. Oh, look at the 5 bowling. They're a joke. I get to the bowling alley. I go, set them up on the lanes. I go in, of course, to get my coffee. I bring my coffee back and I sit down and I'm watching them. After 2 or 3 frames, Nadia comes to me and says, Coach, don't get mad at me, but what are you doing? I said, I'm watching you. Why? Because I've been bowling for many years. Maybe I can help you. Really? I said, what did your last coach do? He stayed in the snack bar and drank coffee until it was time for us to go home. It's been like that for 4 years. I said, well, maybe I can help you. Oh, okay. So I said, how do I make this team better? How do I attract people? Well, you gotta make it fun. And fun with high school kids is very elementary. First, you need an incentive. Why should they come to the bowling? It's a joke. I feed them. Now, if you're an experienced bowler, you know you never, never, never eat greasy food when you're bowling. So my staple was pretzel rods, Twizzlers, and back in Hudson Valley, pitchers of not pop, soda. If you reach 150 today, you will get to share a pitcher of Coca-Cola with your teammates. Whoa, the scores went like crazy. I said, that's the secret. So how do you spread the word? Well, back in the 90s, the network was the big yellow banana called the school bus. My bowlers got on the school bus and they say, we go in the afternoon, we get free bowling and he feeds us. Whoa, we're coming. So I had 4. The next year, Gloria comes up to me and says, Mr. Channon, I'd like to learn how to bowl, but I'm terrible. I said, I don't care. You'll fit right in. In fact, you'll be a starter. Oh, I can't do that. Don't worry about it. You'll be fine. Okay, I got a full girls team and my boys team is growing and growing and growing. After the 3rd year, I was at the maximum. I had 10 boys and 10 girls. They weren't allowing me anymore because the district had to pay for all their bowling. Okay, but what was interesting was I was attracting some of the boys that were in outside leagues, but wouldn't be embarrassed in the school league. And they said, hey, we're gonna show them, we're gonna go in the school league. And we got better and better and better. Okay, fast forward, 1997, we're going to the state championships with the boys. All right, we stay in Albany. The coaches have a hotel room. The kids have a hotel room. All of a sudden, I'm in there schmoozing with my other coach. He likes to talk to. All of a sudden, I hear, uh-oh, someone's at the door. I open the door. Open the door, and this guy with a suit on and organizer badge on. Who's the head coach? I said, I'm the coach. You're crazy. I said, thank you. Why am I crazy? And he said, not one, but 2 coaches saw you take a keg off your bus. I said, yeah, you're crazy. I said, you're repeating yourself. What, you have a keg? I said, yeah. Go look at it. It's in the bathtub. We're putting ice around it. He goes in there. There's a keg in there. I'm going to get you fired. You're going to lose your teacher's license. I don't care. I'm going to call the cops. Here's the phone. But before you get the cops to come here, go and get the name of off the keg. He comes back like a and they say, what's the matter? He says, root beer. And I said, yeah, root beer. I'm not that crazy. Do you still want to call the cops? And he goes, I guess not. P.S. He was one of the ones lining up at our keg to drink root beer during the bowling tournament. I'd like to say that we won the tournament. No, but we had fun and the network on the bus worked and we ended up in 22nd place and the kids still had a great time. Thank you so much for your attention.
Thank you, David. Sorry, I'm just watching our timer. She's finishing up. And where are streaming services going next? I think that everything's getting more expensive. And I think a big part of that is a lot of the professional sports franchises are going to begin to launch their own direct to consumer services. Doesn't matter which team it is. I think the future is that for the diehard sports fans, you can either buy the out of market package direct from a league, or you will soon be able to buy individual games or a monthly service. So I see that our timer is ready, and I will introduce Nancy once again to go over the time so we can vote.
I am pleased to announce that all three of our speakers qualified. 6 minutes and 1 second for Margot. Larry was 17:17. You just snuck in. What did I say? Did I? 7:17. I can't, just jumping into it. And Dave normally has a 4 to 6 minute, but because he is an experienced speaker, Kate gave him a 5 to 7 minute and he qualified at 7:09.
With that, we will come around in the room, and Len and Larry will put a vote up really quick. And to continue on my thoughts about where streaming is going and how they're going to grow the streaming services. And right now, live sports will always be the thing that pushes streaming services forward. And the next headache everyone has, as Beth came in earlier, as football fans, is the fact that there will be a NFL game on Christmas this year, and they're going to auction it off to the highest bidder. And it will probably be a streaming service, and it will probably be more than likely either Paramount Plus, which is CBS and Viacom, or it will be Peacock, which is NBC and NBC Universal and all that stuff. Because the NFL is shameless. They saw the ratings from the games last week, and they know people will watch football. And they will take all the gambling money from FanDuel and DraftKings and punish their own players, which is, again, hypocrisy on a tremendous level that nobody cares. Don't gamble on our sport if you're playing it, but we will be more than happy to take your money. With that, I will introduce our first speaker. He is already this morning evaluating. Margot will be once again, Dr. Gerald Stevens.
Morning again, fellow Toastmasters, and especially Margot. Thank you for presenting for us today. She opened with a question, try to engage the audience, bring us on board with what her topic was. She knows a lot about this topic. I've seen many articles from her in the paper. So it was a educational speech. All different types of speeches. We could do humorous, we could do motivational for our guests. Education is that we learn stuff at Toastmasters. But we also have fun, right, Dave? So that's important, I think, to get people engaged. Lots of good tips, I would say. Being prepared to get the news printed. How do we do that? If you did not know, she definitely knew. And she brought that information to us today. Write the article ahead of time. Make it easy for them. That's important. Hopefully you're a good writer, but if you're not, you might do the approach of Larry, which would be write and revise and improve until it's ready. Exactly. Much like we do our speeches here, truthfully. So there's some crossover from Toastmasters. In regards to her speech, she definitely has some natural gestures, I'd say. I didn't hear too many ahs or ums or any at all, to be truthful. But in Toastmasters, we do have to give, even for a distinguished Toastmaster, some tips for improvement. For her, I would say, being that she's on Zoom, look more directly into the camera. Tough to do at times. I know during the height of COVID, it was a little weird for me to be presenting on Zoom and trying to look right into the camera. She often looked up quite a bit. So that was one thing I could say for improvement. I would also say that she needs to toot her own horn a little more because she does write articles for this club at times. So she does a great job with that. And I saw my picture in the paper, so I was pretty happy about that. Not gonna lie. So we appreciated all the tips for improvement, Margot. Who to find, the community pages, because I didn't know where to look when I tried to do it at one point or another for my own business, and sharing. Continue the good work, Margot, and we appreciate your tips of wisdom. Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Dr. Stevens. And our next evaluator this morning, evaluating Larry McKenzie, is David Licata.
Just a brief question. Did we enjoy the icebreaker by Dave? Did we enjoy Larry? Who recruited those two gentlemen? Anyways, what we got this morning, our boy, Larry. I'm so happy because I've met Larry long before we were Toastmasters together. And now this friendship can go on because the linchpin that kept us together is gone. But now Toastmasters, we're back together. This is a great thing. Larry's a great friend. So what we got? When he came up here, we got animated gestures, eye contact, vocal variety. It was like the grand finale of the 4th of July. He didn't leave anything out. Plus, Larry has a unique way of telling a story. So the sincerity kind of oozes from every pore there. I got to admit. And it was interesting. And the memories were great too. This is where I had to be careful because I was involved kind of at the same time when I was at WJJL. So I got to curb my enthusiasm. Where I would like to see you improve is to slow down. And this is my mantra all the time. Slow down. You had plenty of theater, but you could have used a little bit more theater from the point of view of slowing down, a little bit more vocal variety, and maybe some looks off into space. There was times for that. You could have worked in more exasperation with this woman. I mean, that was beyond belief, Larry. So there was an opportunity for you. But I did believe that he was talking to a room full of people, that he was trying to coach up and make them better speakers. So, oh God, Edna, I said so. Yeah. Here's the situation. He's going to slow down next time. He's going to use some more vocal variety. But what I have to emphasize in my evaluation is, why was this a successful speech? It is because my friend Larry kept all his ducks in a row. And if you want to be a successful speaker, do what Larry did this morning. What he did was he remembered 3 basic things: a beginning, a middle, and an end. Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster.
And our third speaker this morning, evaluating David, is Kate Orr.
Thank you for the applause. To our honored guests, we clap a lot. It does keep us awake. It's a great thing. And it is encouraging. And so we do appreciate that every time we pass the lectern or podium over. Life is fun. This is a lectern. Oh, we don't need to get into that. Podium you stand on. Da, da, da. Okay. Dave. Oh, Thank you for joining this club. Thank you for trusting us with your stories. And we've heard snippets of stories during table topics. Since you have joined, this was a deeper dive, but still just the tip of the iceberg. Oh my goodness. You gave us such a glimpse into you. And those of us who have seen you in this club know a little, and you gave us more. And those of you who are new today, still tip of the iceberg, and you really got to know who's Dave. He didn't just give us a rundown of where he's from and who he is. He showed us. You've heard that don't tell, show, don't tell. He showed us. You do so many things well. We call it your tools in your toolbox, right? Oh my goodness. You have the voice that makes us want to listen, your tone. You're increasing and decreasing your volume, your eye contact, your expressiveness with your face, with your body, your American Sign Language. That's a piece of you, and you are smattering the vocabulary to help us learn that. You told stories, you exchanged dialogue and became the voices of your bowlers and others you encountered. You have a keg. It's great. You were prepared. You gave us a good title that's just what is that? Life is fun. Life is about fun. Where's he going with this? You used the word of the day not once, but twice, I think, maybe more. You had a prop, a pretzel just in your pocket, ready to roll. Thank you. Oh my goodness. You gave us a morning. You finale'd the team. Sometimes as an icebreaker, it's tough to be the third speaker. You followed two fabulous speakers. Our highest rank is Distinguished Toastmaster or DTM. Margot, our first speaker, Larry, our second speaker, are DTMs. You're right on the path and at the start. I'm so glad you came. We're supposed to give what you did well, all those things, and then maybe areas to improve. Folks, this is tough. I've been in Toastmasters for almost 16 years. I know how to evaluate. This is challenging. I would like to call upon all of you. You know the ballot you have in your hands there or on the table in front of you? We often just do the voting at the bottom, but in the middle where it says first speaker, second speaker, third speaker, can you write what we call a love note to Dave, please, and hand that in with the voting? Because you're giving a note to the speaker and share anything you'd like, suggestions, things he did awesome, a love note. So be sure to use this most every week, but especially for an icebreaker. Then I'm supposed to tell you how to challenge yourself. Oh my gosh, challenge us. Keep bringing ASL, American Sign Language, to us. Keep sharing that vocabulary. It improves our exchange of information. It's another language and you're giving it. I love it. Thank you, David. Back to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you very much. Excuse me again. Well, thank you, Madam President. I will finish with one thing before I introduce the general evaluator and turn the meeting over to Phil. The interesting thing about streaming services, only one's actually making money. That would be Netflix. Everything else is the wonderful GIF of the GIF cartoon of people just shoveling cash into a furnace because that's what most of the streaming services are doing. And they're charging the consumer, the end consumer. They still don't make money. They buy terrible scripts with big name actors, make the movies that nobody watches because there are people that are willing to pay for most of it. And with that, I will turn the meeting over to, actually, I'm sorry, Phil. We need our timers report for our evaluators this morning.
That's why we stand on the sidelines for you. Gerald, 229, David, 232, Kate, 316, and I believe that 1 second took you over. I'm so sorry. But it looks like Gerald and David both qualified as evaluators. Please cast your ballots.
And I will turn the meeting over to Phil Russell now, who is our general evaluator. Phil.
Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and our guests. First, Mr. Toastmaster, protect The lectern. We don't want to have an empty space up here. One time you did it. Then quickly, some of the evaluators were great. And just for the grammarian, I butcher the English language because I do it intentionally. It just catches people's attention at times. They all use the sandwich approach. You might call it sandwich. In our family, we call it sandwich, where you give some positive feedback and you help them how to improve their speaking. And you give them tips. Gerald Stevens did an excellent job of that, giving the tips and the accolades. Dave Licata did it. Dave did mention Edna Stubbs. Yeah, well, it's her birthday today. Yes. And I'm glad you brought it up about open, body, and close, 3 important parts of the speech. I liked that very much. The icebreaker, when I started, 1982, back at the regular Lockport Toastmasters, they no longer exist. We are the AM. There was a Toastmasters, all it was for the first month or two, icebreaker after icebreaker, and it was fabulous because that's my most enjoyable part of Toastmasters is the icebreaker. Let's see. Edna's birthday. Tips. Kate, or you did give us some positive feedback. You searched for it, but you got it in. That's great. Let's see. Yeah. What other notes do I have? That's enough. You want to call up you could do that. Okay. There we go.
Thank you, Phil, because we're running short on time and I kind of promised some extra time at the end because I know there's a lot to plug. So with that, I will call on our quizmaster this morning, Mike. I know it's a little soon. Sorry about that. I will give a quizmaster's report. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster and fellow Toastmasters and our guests. What sport does Beth hate? Golf. Beth, I thought we had something here. That's it. Oh, watch it? Okay. Well, I usually end up sleeping on the couch anyways when I watch golf, so that's okay. That's my excuse. What kind of junkie is Tom? Political news junkie he is. Yeah, aren't we all? Mike Licata said, I want my fill in the blank. MTV. Larry gave us some lessons. What are the 4 things that are required for a speech? I heard a few of them. They were all kind of close. Read, research, write, and review. Good advice, really good advice. Because a lot of times you come up here and you try and wing it for the new people, you're going to be tap dancing around, maybe not in front of 700 people, but you're going to have a rough go. So take his advice and use it when you're putting a speech together, because it does really help. What kind of criminal activity did Dave use in order to get his bowlers to, become better bowlers? Bribery. That's right. The pretzel king. Yeah. What year did they go to the state championship? Do you remember? 97. That is an incredible accomplishment. Awesome. From 0 to that. Who did Dave Licata bring into the club? He's got to promote himself. There's Dave. Yeah. I still have your first evaluation that you gave me, after my first speech, Dave. I have it posted up at my house. And all you said on there was, you're going to be okay. So I appreciate that, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Mike. And with that, our final evaluator this morning, she had a really tough job because we had a lot of really experienced speakers, but it's all right. Thank you. Carol Ann with our WAG report, Word, Master and Grammarian.
The Word Network did very well with Marty, Mike Florio, Phil, Steve, Eric, Beth, Tom, Gerald. I can more or less say that everyone up here used the Word. Mike had some restarts and had some run-on ands, and I'm having some ahs. Eric admitted to an and I was impressed with these phrases. Mike Florio said, cut the cable, and did a little visual of doing that. Jill making a shameless plug with her glasses, and Margot mentioning that something was off of the radar screen. Mr.
Thank you, Carol Ann. And I promised Jill, because she graciously stepped in to be a speaker, but I would give her a couple of minutes to plug what she's doing on Monday, because it's Eclipse Day. Well, Steve and Jill. I apologize, Steve. I know that everything is there, so I will let Jill get him.
Okay. Yes, Steve and Jill. Steve primarily because I don't own a telescope and I never would have owned a telescope. And I'm learning how to operate one for this thing. And if anybody else wants to run a telescope this Monday, we have 3 and we only have 2 people. It's very simple with the one we're going to let you run. I mean, you just have to every so often move it and make sure people aren't stupid when they touch the when they go to touch the telescope and look through it. Anyhow, Monday morning, we're going to start at 11 and run till 5 at Kruger Park down in Wilson. It's on Route 18, 900 feet east of Route 425. As Steve likes to say, you know, count your feet. And we're going to have some food there. And it's going to be a nice communal experience for everybody to look at the sun and look at the moon and enjoy the wonder of this solar eclipse that is not happening for another 120 years here. Yes, Dave Licata said, so we're saying this is pretty much it. Yeah, I don't think any of us are going to be here for that one. Not unless there's some miracle of the healthcare system in the next few weeks. Like I said earlier, where'd I go? I can't even see the lights through these today, which is what is supposed to be. These are not fake ones. These are real ones. We've had them since last summer. So that tells you how long we've had them to sell. Like I said earlier, we've only got a few left. And I think I will raise the price on Monday morning. I've put a lot of work into selling these things, you know, so. Yes. Thank you, Mike.
Now I will invite, okay, so let me get to this as well. I know it's 8:30, we're gonna be running over, but it's important because it's an open house. I will first introduce Avis. We like to invite our guests this morning to give an evaluation of the meeting, and because Avis is in the room, we'll start with her. You wanna hold the mic? Does it matter?
It's attached. We could like just, yeah.
No, I'm just trying to make life easier for everyone.
Okay, you know what? We're good. We're good. There we go. Went underneath.
Oh, of course it went under.
Paper. Well, it's really good to be here today. I have to tell you, I invited 6 guests. I really did, and none of them came. Yeah, to hear. So you know what? I'm gonna say, hey, you forgot. May, whatever. I'll look on the calendar. May 2nd, you get another chance, another opportunity. So come on back. It is absolutely my pleasure to be here again in the company of all of you. It's a great club. David, when you come back next time, all the speakers won't be as good as this. You've looked at a really good meeting. Just saying, just saying. It varies. And I am a member of Clarence Toastmasters if you ever want to come there and visit. Friday morning, it's also worth getting up for. And it starts at 8, so you get a little bit more sleep. Yeah. Thank cookies. We can make tell me you're coming, there will be cookies. All right, sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you, Avis. And I will invite Paula. Do you want to give a report? You don't have to if you don't want to. You're all set. Our other in-person. Past member. Thank you. Yes.
No, it is true. I am a past member. In fact, initially, I think it was David that had me come and I was a number of years younger. And then of course, a lot of things happen in life. When you first were putting this word up here, my reaction was the first time that I ever went fishing. We were in the boat and we were doing things and they hooked a really big one. And the gentleman said to me, get that, and we got to pull it out. And I said, how exactly does this net work? Okay. But, and then, but the one thing I will tell you is as far as cable, there's a number of people in this room that have known my mother. She just passed this past February, Grace Banks, and she had a lot of impact on a lot of people that are in this room, Tom and David, and she was quite a lady, right up to 95, almost 96. She was still painting and doing all kinds of stuff. Well, the interesting thing is I didn't realize how much pull she actually had because my husband and I live on Gow Road in Appleton. And for the longest time, our first 21 years that we were there, we had no cable because anytime anybody we asked or called about it, they would say, you have more cows than people. Even though we didn't have cows, we were surrounded. So it's like, as long as there's more cows than people, you won't have cable. So we were happy with, well, not happy with it, but that was life. So all of a sudden in 2020, my mother went through some things and we decided to have her be at our house for a while. She said, what cable do you have? Because she enjoyed a lot of the things. She enjoyed many, many of the programs. And I unfortunately had to say to her, we don't have cable. The next day, seriously, the next day, I got a knock at the door and the gentleman said, we're Spectrum and we're coming through. Would you like to have cable? That same day, my husband had been at work. He had gotten a contact and they had said, would you like, like we're doing this, we're doing that. And he had resolved himself to the fact that maybe we could get satellite. Well, there's this person saying, would you like cable? We can have it up by the end of the week. Okay. I called my husband. He canceled whatever he was doing. And I said, okay, we have cable. Apparently mom's here and she's got a lot of connections that we haven't had for 21 years. So needless to say, by that weekend, she was watching her shows again. So here's to you, Mom. So if you still got the same pull up there now. So, and thank you very much. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you, Paul, and I will invite David up if would you like to give your report on the meeting, what you thought, or if you don't want to, you don't have to, it's up to you. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. And I will invite Tom up then. Do you want to, you're all set? Okay. Yes. David online too. David, what did you think of the meeting?
Hi, everybody. It was a great meeting. I really enjoyed just kind of learning the cadence of your guys' meeting, and this is new to me, so that was nice to see how it's run. A lot of inspiring speeches and skills that I saw that I would like to learn. So that was great because I'm not there yet, and I'm one of those people who's afraid to speak in public. So just kind of hearing about that and some of the speeches, that was awesome. Something else, it was just I guess in the future, I'm excited to come back to the group and, keep learning and maybe even improve my network a little bit. So,
Thank you. Thank you, David. We're looking forward to your next visit. We meet every Thursday morning. And this morning I will invite our president back up. We'll hand out the winners and then Marty, real quick, Marty's our Toastmaster next week. Everyone check the online schedule. Don't worry. We don't have a theme yet. He'll figure something out. There's the 3 winners. Okay. No, you're fine. So this morning, our best table topics winner is Tom Olson.
He's delivering it. He's delivering the ribbon. How kind of you, Mike. Thank you, Tom, for joining us. It's okay. Perfect. We do like to end on time. Open house. for you.
Yes. Our best available this morning is David Licata. And our best speaker this morning with his icebreaker, which I apologize, I did not realize it was his icebreaker, is David Shannon. Sure.
We do a split club every week. And the last 3 numbers,
Len is gonna kill him.
are 518. Who is the winner?
518.
8.
One.
She would like to take it every week, folks. Be like that, then you'll win too.
Thank you. Well, she got to give it back to her. David, you're doing a presentation, right? For ASA, American Sign Language. Okay.
Giving a course.
Okay.
Don't do it. Don't do it. Just don't do it.
Somebody's gonna kill me here. When's it gonna be?
Every Thursday, starting April 11th, in the Family Empowerment Center in the basement of the Cornerstone Arena. 4 1-hour lessons every Thursday, and they're absolutely free. Everybody's invited, any age. And I will teach you ASL. You'll come out with 175 words and a few sentences.
Thank you.
Awesome.
There-
Thank you.
Phil's got something else.
Okay.
Yeah.
You can stop the recording if you need to.
Yeah.
This is for Dave. One quick question. You don't, statement, you don't say thank you at the end of your speech because